Welcome back. I'm Decker J, and it is good to see you. In this episode, we are going to talk about the cannons and the airships. Or, not just the airships, but we're going to talk about the airships, the submarines, the naval ships, just movecraft in general, as well as the cannons. Now, as you can see, we are on a, a cruiser that I built a while back. And, well, yeah, see, if it was loaded, there'd be fireballs. Um, let's hope that things go well this time, because the last 3 times I tried to record this episode, something went wrong. Um, there were audio bugs in the first one. Um, there were there was some issue with compiling it in the second one. And the last time, I just kind of forgot to turn my microphone on and then proceeded to record the entire episode. So hopefully this time things will get better. First of all, I'm going to tell you about the cannons, and then we'll get on to the different craft types and classes. This is, let me get a sign. This is a mortar. Now, when you put a sign on it, it will tell you what it is, how many of these you have made, what number this is out of all the ones you've made, your name. It'll tell you the P there, it'll tell you how much gunpowder in it, and the C, cannonball. It gives the item ID of the cannonball, and those two right there are the angle that it is adjusted at. But basically, the mortar, you right click and shift and right click on each of the sides to aim it, and then you'll load it with gunpowder. I believe these will hold 2 gunpowder, and then with your cannonball, and you right click on the torch with a flint and steel, and there's a little bit of a delay while the quote-unquote wick burns down, and it fires the projectile. Now, how this mortar is made is very simple. It's made with 2 iron blocks, a torch, and an iron pressure plate on top. That's it. That's all there is to it. Next is the short cannon, and the wood part here, it doesn't actually require that you have that there. I just put the wooden platform there just for looks, so that it wouldn't be sitting directly on the ground. Basically what it is 2 iron blocks, a torch on it, and then a stone button on both ends. Once again, you'd come over to the barrel, load it full, you'd right click it you'd right click it to enter the gunpowder, and then you'd right click it with your projectile, and I'll tell you about the projectiles in a second, to load that, and then you would right click on the torch with a flint and steel. The long cannon here is the same, except it's built the exact same. Once again, the wood is not actually necessary there, only the 3 iron blocks, 2 buttons, and torch. The difference between these two is this one can load more gunpowder, which will give it more distance and more force behind the cannonball. It's more accurate, and, well, it's generally just more accurate and has a much greater range. Now, the only downside to this is you cannot turn them as easily as you would one of these. These will aim to, I believe, 45 degrees. Let me check. Yeah, 45 degrees. The long cannon, I believe, only does it to about 25 degrees, but I may be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's only 25 degrees. But yeah, these rotate. These aim much faster. Now, then there is these three here are VIP. They are VIP only, and you can get VIP status by either being a beta tester, which we are no longer doing. We have all of our beta testers, so the beta testers will be getting VIP status for all their help and support. But for most players, the only way you'll be able to get VIP status is if you donate. Now, how much you donate and how you donate and all that has not quite been set up yet. It hasn't been decided. The VIP cannons are the siege mortar, which, if you look in here, there's a single block of redstone in there and a block of gold right there. A 5x5 platform of iron, except for the one gold block, and then a 3x3 of obsidian with the one redstone in the center, a hollow 3x3 on top of that, and then a hollow 3x3 with the corners out, another one, and then stone slabs on top, a button, and a torch. You right-click it with a block of obsidian. It uses obsidian for ammunition, and unlike this one, which will hold about two pieces of gunpowder, and this one, which holds, I believe, 3, and this one that holds 4, this bad boy takes around 60, because, it's launching a block of obsidian, and it's launching it with great force and great impact. It has a very large blast radius, probably about that of 3 charged creepers exploding in the same place at the same time. Next is the Grand Cannon. However, this is a bit OP, but it's kind of balanced out. All 3 of these are. They're kind of balanced out by how resource intensive they are. And yes, the obsidian base for all the bases for these, made of obsidian, and iron there, they are necessary. They are absolutely necessary. The Grand Cannon here, it's basically iron, obsidian. There's a help file with diagrams on how to make all of these, but there is a torch here, a stone button, and you load this with iron blocks and I believe like 30 or 40 gunpowder. And basically it's the same thing as your standard cannonball, except with a little bit more blast power. Not a whole lot, but a little bit more. The main thing you want this for is penetration. It will penetrate 3 or 4 blocks before it actually blows up, which is very good. And this one is still work in progress because it's a bit buggy. I thought I had it completely done, but I found a very, very serious bug in it that makes it really OP, and so it is disabled until I get that fixed. Hopefully I'll have it fixed before the server is actually up. Basically what it is it's an anti-aircraft cannon. It's an AA gun. Each projectile does not do a whole lot of damage, but it fires. It has the fastest fire rate of any of these cannons. Also, this one has like a 10-minute cooldown, and this one's got like a 5 or 6-minute cooldown. Whereas these have like these two have got like a 4-second cooldown, and this one's got like a 5-second cooldown. Or I think no, like an 8-second cooldown. This one has no cooldown, pretty much. You can fire it, and you can fire it as fast as you can possibly fire it. You can even hook it up to redstone and just put it on a clock and fire it. There is a way to hook all of these up to redstone, but it's a bit more complicated, and I will show you that in a later video. Well, I guess next, the only thing to show you to do is the projectiles. The main projectiles, these take their own projectiles, but for all of these three have 3 main projectiles that they can all use. Let me go over here to this side and use this, so that I'm just firing off into the ocean. Yes, okay. First is the standard cannonball, a block of cobblestone. I'm going to right-click it and load it. And if you try to load more gunpowder after you've already loaded your gunpowder and your projectile, it gives you this message. I love that. And now we are going to light it, and boom. Yeah, that's the long range one, so it went quite a ways. I reached the edge of the world. I forgot that the edge of the world is like right here, and it looped me back around. So, okay, now load more. It does just like a basic explosion, about like a creeper, like not as much as a block of TNT, but about as much as a creeper. It will blow up. It has, next is grape shot, just a block of gravel, and it does a spread shot. It's mostly for sweeping an enemy's deck. It is it's basically grape shot, like real grape shot, which is when they would take just like chains, bits of metal, scrap, whatever, and just load it into the cannon, fire. Rocks, whatever. Think of it as like the cannon of, or the shotgun of cannons. It does not destroy blocks, however, it does pretty seriously injure players. Not as much as a direct hit from a regular cannonball, though. Now we're going to try the coal block, which is burning shot. And it basically, you won't be able to see it, but if you could see it land, and it doesn't land in water, it basically has, it doesn't destroy blocks, but it does create fire blocks wherever it lands, so it will start a fire. Think of it as, say you take a basketball, and instead of filling it with air, you fill it with napalm. A basketball filled with napalm, and then you fire it out of a cannon. Suppose that we are going to completely ignore the fact that firing a basketball out of a cannon full of napalm would actually probably just blow the cannon up. Like, ignore that fact, and you've kind of got the idea here. Also, since it is a coal block, anyone near it will actually get blinded for a few seconds. Anybody near it, whenever it explodes on impact, will actually get blindness because of the coal dust flying everywhere. Something very important you need to know about all of these cannons is that they are very loud, and if you are not, I'm not doing it because I'm in creative mode, I'm not taking any damage, but if you are operating a cannon, any of these cannons, and you are not wearing a helmet, it doesn't have to be a specific type, just a helmet in general. It could be leather, gold, whatever. If you're not wearing a helmet and you stand within like 3 or 4 blocks of one of these cannons, you will actually get nausea, and you will take like half a heart of damage. For the larger VIP ones, I think it's like within 10 blocks you take like a heart of damage, and for the regular ones it's like a half a heart of damage. But yeah, don't operate the cannons without a helmet on, even if it's just leather. That's basically it for the cannons. Now on to the actual ships themselves. Well, there are 3 different craft types. There's nautical, which is like navy ships, just on the sea, on the water, on the ocean. Nautical ships, aeronautical ships, which is airships, and submarines, which encompasses all submersible crafts. There are 5 classes for each. There are 5 classes for each type, meaning there's 5 different types. There are 5 classes of airship, 5 classes of ship, and 5 classes of submarine, and each of them have something unique about them. For example, I'm not going to get into all of them in this video. I will in a more detailed video later, possibly, but for now I'm just going to explain the basic concept. Also, you can always do help, move craft, and it gives you help, move craft aeronautical, nautical, submarine, help, move craft pilot. And that shows you like the requirements and what's good and bad about each of the different craft types and classes. They all follow the same basic template. All 5 classes for each of the 3 types. The absolute smallest for each type is the class 1, and they each have different names. For the airships, the class 1 is called a skiff, an air skiff, and this is an example of one. It doesn't have to look like this, but basically it's a very small, very, very unarmored, like literally almost no armor. It can have wood, but still that's practically nothing. Very light, fast, unarmored ship that actually cannot hold up the weight of cannons. So, I mean, you can have dispensers, but that's about it. And it does not require... Most of these ships will require a furnace with coal or charcoal in them in order for you to pilot them and fly them. And they all require redstone blocks. The redstone blocks are the engine and the the furnace is like the fuel intake. What's special about the Class 1 ships, the air skiff for, I don't have one out here, but for nautical ships, it's called a cog, and for submarines, it's a mini-sub. They require no fuel. They are light, fast, can't have any really heavy armor or weapons or pretty much anything except dispensers. They do not require fuel, but they do require a larger percentage of redstone blocks. Meaning they require a larger engine, but the engine does not require fuel. It's self-propelling. Think of it as like solar powered or something. Self-perpetuating. Just think of it something like that. Just, basically, it's a very lightweight, cheap ship that's very fast. It is the fastest ship. However, it's also the smallest, and it does not require fuel. The absolute largest is a VIP craft type, and it's a Class 5, and it's pretty much a luxury ship. I don't remember what I called them all for the different types, but basically it's a luxury ship that cannot have dispensers, it can't have cannons, it can't have weapons of like cannons or dispensers of weapons of any kind. It cannot have armor, anything like that. Basically, just like the skiff, except it can't even have dispensers, but it does require fuel and a very large engine. However, it has the largest craft maximum size of any of the craft types or classes. I believe the largest one can get up to like 20,000-30,000 blocks. It's ridiculous. They can be huge. But yeah, they're basically just flagships, just for looks or transporting large amounts of people or livestock or whatever. And then there's the right below that, there's the Class 4, which is for airships, it's the Dreadnought. For submarines, the Leviathan. And for nautical ships, it is the Battleship. This is the heavy gun, heavy armor, most badass thing on the battlefield that you're going to see. It can have up to 10% of it can be made of obsidian. So I mean, you can either use that by putting a few of these on it, or you can have reinforced armor, or kind of balance it out. But it can. There's not a single weapon type that it cannot have. It can have all of these, and it can have iron plating, stone, hardened clay, obsidian. If you wanted to, you could make the hull out of solid diamond. Not that it would do you any good, but you could. Basically, it's a supreme battleship. And it is also VIP only. Class Type 3 is the Nautilus for submarines, the Cruiser for airships, and the Clipper for ships. It cannot have obsidian in it, and it's not quite as large. However, other than it not being able to use obsidian and not being quite as large, it can have all of the other armor and all of these cannons, except for these because they require obsidian on it. It is actually the second fastest. The only one that it's not faster than is the Class 1. And it does not require nearly as much fuel as some of the larger ships. And basically, it's your, unless you're VIP, it's your basic battleship. The only difference between the Dreadnought or the only difference between the Class 4 and the Class 3 is the Class 4 can have obsidian and is slightly larger. And the Class 4 is slower. Think of the Class 4 as like a tank, pretty much. And then there's the Class 2, which is basically right in between the Skiff or the Class 1 and the Class 3. In terms of, it cannot have cannons, it cannot have iron yet, but it does require fuel. It can still have dispensers, however it's larger, so you'll probably have room for TNT cannons, or at least one or two of them, to go along with your dispensers. And it can have like hardened clay and stone slab plating around it, which is very, very useful. I actually can't think of anything else to tell you at the moment. However, I may think of something and just kind of add it in a later video, or I don't know. I might. If there's anything that I'm forgetting, I'm sure you'll see it once the server gets open to the public, because once the introduction series that I'm doing is over and we get everything open to the public, I'm just going to do a Let's Play with me actually playing on the server. Yeah, there's just so much stuff that you could do. Well, that's it for this video. So, have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.